Hi, everyone. I'm so excited about this, and I think we're finally ready to start. I was finalizing a few things last minute because our first person isn't here. So we are rearranging some things on the timeline now. But this is the very first virtual creative workshop, and there are going to be many to come. Don't judge this first one, even if there are any technical difficulties and last minute rearrangements. They're only going to improve each and every single time. And nonetheless, even though this is the very first one, I managed to somehow last minute, I don't even know how, but snag some of the coolest people I know for this, who are amazing, super talented people that this time, all of them I've actually met in person, but eventually as we hopefully expand and you refer this virtual creative workshop and variety show to other people, there will be more strangers in here as well in the mix and a larger audience. Even so, I am so excited that there are about 20 of us in here. That was my dream, and you guys made it happen, and I'm so happy that you've all come here. So I'm gonna put our very first artist on the spot here because she wasn't prepared to be the first one, but now she is. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about her first before she goes. Her name is Brandy, and she is an environmental portrait photographer. I know her from all the way back in high school, and we lost touch most of that time, but honestly, her photography is what made me want to reach out to her and reconnect, because I kept seeing she posted her photos and they just caught my eye because of her use of color and darkness with like neon lights and dark streets, and I loved seeing that. I found it really unique. Don't see that done in a lot of photography. And I asked her if she'd like to be a part of this very first show, knowing that it's a very scary thing to participate in something that's in front of an audience of people that she doesn't know. She doesn't know anybody here but me. And especially since it's the very first workshop. And again, she's fully prepared for this being a flop if we have technological difficulties. But Brandy will still share her screen and show us a little presentation that she made of some of the photos that she would like to share with everyone.
Hi guys, so I'm Brandy. I prepared a little presentation for you guys of my work. So I'm gonna show you a little bit of my portraiture, and I also do a lot of environmental photography, so you'll get to see a little bit of both. And I hope you like it, hope you enjoy. I'm gonna go ahead and post my links in the chat. So if you guys wanna find me on Instagram, my website, anything like that, it'll be there. If you have any questions for me after or I'm going too fast, just let me know, I'll slow down.
I'm going to add one little thing really quick. You're welcome to start sharing your screen if you want. I forgot a part. I asked Brandy to define her photography for me yesterday and tell me a little bit about it. And I skipped that part completely. So this is how we ended up kind of hashing it out into words. She expressed to me that in her photography, just so you're prepared, nothing is random. Everything is planned. Each spot is chosen for a specific purpose. Sometimes she'll walk around and spot, a really cool location and immediately come up with a character to shoot in that location. And then she would reach out to that person and let that model know that they usually they end up wearing their own clothing. They have their own props. That way it's true to their own nature. And at the same time, she gets to incorporate her style into it. So now that you know that, you get to see her photography. I'm excited. was awesome. That was 25 photos. Are those some of your photos that define you the most through photography?
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff that I had to go through and kind of narrow down, and I felt like a lot of these, the collection that I showed you guys, was what I consider like the best representation of myself and things that I like to focus on. I like to create a whole world around my photography, and I'm really like creative and imaginative. So these to me are the ones that like I hold really dear to my heart. And luckily, like I've been so fortunate to work with a lot of models that are my close friends. So it makes it a lot easier to do my job and, you know, really get to create and kind of see who they are as a person and incorporate that into my work. So
That's awesome. And Brandy has shared her Instagram link, her website as well. And there's lots more really cool photography on both of those. So check that out if you would like to. Okay, so now I'm checking on our musician who is going to go first. I think he's still getting set up. So I am going to.
Actually here.
Oh, you are. Yay. Okay. Are you ready
So,
to start playing or do you need a second?
no, I can probably go here.
Okay.
Hey guys, so brief introduction time.
Yeah.
Awesome. So my name is Nick Salpa. I am a musician in the Adirondacks, which is basically it's a state park in New York, upstate New York actually. I'm from a little town Lake Placid. We had the Olympics a couple times. There's kind of a big hiking tourism destination, little small lake town. So I've been playing music basically my whole life. My father went to Berklee School of Music in Boston back in the 80s at the height of it basically. And just growing up being around music, I'm a guitar singer songwriter. I also do a jazz set where I play saxophone and do like cocktail parties type stuff. But really, I found an interesting way to express myself through music, and just the use of poetry and metaphor, allusions, just really talking around all my feelings. It's to put it into one phrase. It's all about the wordplay, and so just kind of trying to find new meanings and new rhythms through your words and your rhythms and your expressions. And I don't know, music's a lot more than just sounds. It's expression. It's honestly one of the most human things that we can do. And that's why I think it's so important. And it's not important that everybody plays music, but it's important that everybody engages in some form of art. Just like you, Brandy, with your photography and like you were saying, creating that world around you. And so, I don't know, that's my little spiel I just came up with here. So, do you want to hear just one song right here?
You're sure you can, if you, up to you. You can play all of them right now, or we can have the rest of yours a little later. It's entirely up to you. How ready you?
I'll play one, maybe two here. So. Got this mess that we've been swimming in. 'Cause I've been wondering, hoping, try not to pretend of my soul and my mind. These things that I'm trying to find, the rhythms in the river, the rhythms in the rhyme. And I'm just searching for another day and time to rip the chin and move another day with you, to get to know you a little better than the last time. When I remember I was drunk off a little wine, sipping whiskey and wine by the bay. Watching these times, I'm feeling so damn fine. These feelings in my mind, I'm searching, I'm losing track of time and little pieces of my mind. All these times I try to take one day at a time, 'cause I'm lonely and I'm feeling there's only one day that you can shine and gleam.
today. No, you ain't been acting so clean like you did before. Like I hope you'll do it again. Not trying to lose another friend to the rhythm and the scheme we've been practicing. Since our very first day, let's get it together now. Take away your pain, and you're so great. Don't be so vain, don't you ever hesitate. We'll feel that you might leave a stain. I'm standing in the pouring rain, got these feelings come on over me. Am I insane? What am I playing this game?
So that was called Swimming In. You know, I see all the clapping, so thank you. I can't hear it, but yeah, so I wrote that one about end of last year. I went through a really rough spell with some health issues and kind of that thing that happens where your world falls apart and you gotta build it back up together again. So it was basically just kind of taking everything in stride and just finding the meaning in it all again, basically, when things are just seeming bleak and you're pissed off at the world, and just kind of trying to find a place to not even a place, but just like find a space to hold and keep it there and bring yourself back to your center, whatever that new center is anyways, because it's constantly changing. So yeah, that's one of my songs here. Did you guys want to hear one more?
Yeah, sounds good.
Beautiful. So I haven't played this one in a while if I remember everything, but I'm not feeling too judged right now, so I'm gonna see if it works out.
But it's only just begun. Finding these words and the tip of my tongue, like how I'm so thankful I'm not numb to it all anymore. And you can realize it as you walk across the floor. Another notion of the truth hidden behind closed doors. And I'm only holding space for just so long, because life sometimes falters if it's gone wrong. But I think that you feel me now, so why don't you come on and help reveal me now? Reveal me now. And darling, I forgive you like I'm running to forgive myself, learn to pull my ego up on the chair, yeah. And it's been such a long run, and I'm starting to have so much fun, but it seems that things come along so soon, and so soon I can't see. It's so soon, I don't believe, but experience is something extraordinary. Like when the darkness goes out and it's just so scary. All this absence of light, not knowing what you're gonna find in the night. But you go on, don't you go on and give it a feel, cause I'm 1,000 miles from where I started to stand right here. And it's a great big world out there, and as I grow another year, I'm just trying to make sure these lines, the fading connect, keep coming up, cause these lines always intersect. Just like these places I do believe in, these places that I've been seeing in my dreams, and these things, it making me feel all these funny things. When I close my eyes, and when I sleep at night, I know I'm coming to a place where there's just a little more sunlight than there was yesterday. And these times As I do pray, because we're coming on something that's just so strong, and I just wanna keep holding on. Just a little while longer, while this feeling's getting stronger.
Woo!
Yay! That was awesome.
Cool. Thanks, guys. And so basically, that one's kind of I wrote that one a little bit before, but that's kind of a similar vibe. And I don't know. This is one of the big things when I was moving around. I met Alina when I was living out in Bend, Oregon, a couple of years ago. I'm here in New York right now, but that'll change soon enough. Really just finding connection with people and interactions, and taking that next step, I guess. Just kind of keeping on going and really finding what you're trying to find, basically. Even if you're not looking for something, you are. Everybody's trying to work on something, even if they don't realize it in the moment. And I've forgotten that myself. And so that's why I want to say it and reiterate that, even though it's something that sounds like a lot of meaningless BS. But I don't know. There's a beauty in simplicity, and especially in things that are very just like inherent truths, basically. And so even if it's obvious, it's not always obvious at times. So anyways, thanks for listening, guys. This is really cool. I'm excited for the rest of this. We just want to move on to the next segment.
People know really quick about that podcast of yours, because that's super important. There might be people in the audience who are interested.
Oh,
So Nick Salpaugh, I just finally learned how to pronounce his last name. It's even more complicated than my own, but I think I did a great job. So he is starting his own podcast called Skipping Stones Podcast. He's looking for creative people to interview for this podcast. And he said, similar to this variety show and virtual creative workshop, all kinds of talents. If you're a writer, if you're a singer, you're a photographer, etc. He's looking for people to interview and do like a 45-minute to 2-hour interview, and then later on feature on that podcast that is going to be happening very soon now.
That's a Skipping Stones podcast.
Yes. And then Nick will post information in the chat room in a little bit here with some info about him, if there's some way to reach you, and then that podcast as well.
Yeah.
And just so everybody knows, Nick also is really good at photography and will be featured in a future show for those photos of his. He also, he and I talked about him doing a songwriting workshop where he will end up sharing the process of what it is like for him to write a song when it comes to the melody, and then writing the lyrics, and then offering a writing prompt for everybody so that people can try out what it's like to write a song, with Nick kind of hosting the songwriting session or a songwriting workshop. Sounds good. Well, the next person, unless you had anything to add, Nick, really quick.
No, just thanks for having me here. Sorry I was a minute late.
That's
Sorry.
okay. This is the first workshop, everything's forgivable.
I know we talked. I may put a shameless plug to my Venmo in the comments if you guys are really.
Yes, by the
really
way,
stoked.
everybody just know this workshop is free, but if at any point you feel inclined to tip, and there is tip information in the comments from some of our artists, go ahead and utilize that to your advantage if you'd like to. Otherwise, this workshop will be entirely free to attend now and forever. I don't ever want to charge anybody for it. There are a ton of workshops out there that people have to pay like $40 just to be a part of it, and this is never going to be like that. I want it to be casual, full of just awesome creative people either looking to be inspired or looking to participate in prompts or looking to share something with an audience. And the next person on our schedule is me. I'm going to end up reading a poem for you. And I'm going to share my screen with you so you can follow along in case at any point the Zoom glitches and you can't hear a word or something. Okay. Whoa. Oh, by the way, really quick about it. This is the quickest poem I have ever written in my entire life. I sat down with this idea and wrote it in 10 minutes. That never happens. I didn't have to go back and edit it. I didn't have to fix it. It just, blah, it happened. And I didn't have to edit it, and that's very rare for me, but it's one of my favorite poems, which is why I chose to share it with you. So it is called The Years Don't Matter. Old men with their hungry eyes, like wolves, licking their lips at prey. Can I hate them for their lusty staring? For they were young and maybe charming once, and I might have let them take me home 30 years ago or more. If I had been born before my mother's time, I might have married that 80-year-old with his legs crossed on a bench, hiding the guest that rarely comes to visit anymore. All that is their fault is surviving a little longer than is considered beautiful. And one day, when I look at a man my son's age, when I am 60 and have had 5 of them by now, with the weight of my past babies showing in my body's unlovely sags and folds, he might shudder and find me demented, addled, and confused. And I will be for a moment, as I'll forget my age sometimes. And when I do remember, will I miss my youth? The way the old men do as they sit mesmerized by lithe bodies they were once allowed to touch. And now all that is allowed them, yet with plenty of disdain, is the indecence and shame of open staring that they hardly care to hide any longer, knowing that their days are numbered, and soon even the joy of looking will be gone. So they absorb all the beauty that is left, birds and daisies and blonde hair and breasts dancing, pouty lips and flirty eyelashes, even if directed at someone else, not them, never them anymore, unless they're paying for the act. And that is never real. They're better off pretending that the woman in the short skirt with silky legs on the other side of the bus they travel in aimlessly wants to be looked at, wishes it could go beyond, that she'd welcome the hand on her knee from the old man minus 50 years, that she can see past the ravages of time and want the heart within. The same one she would have legally made hers if it came in a younger wrapping. Simply trade the skin, the smell, the yellow teeth, iron it out, bathe in the eternal fountain, bleach the smile, and the packaging is pleasant to look at once again, and the years don't matter. All right, that was it. That was my poem for you, and the reason that I shared a poem is because there will be a writing prompt, and we're gonna just jump right into that. But I wanted to first show you that I'm being vulnerable and I'm reading my poetry aloud to potentially help somebody out who writes something amazing for this writing prompt, who might be nervous to share at the end of it. So when you write your poem or a couple sentences or whatever it is, it could be a song, it could be any piece that comes to you after I share the prompt with you, feel free to share it in the comments. And if you share something in the comments, I will ask you whether you want me to read it for you or whether you would like to read it yourself. But please don't be shy. I went first on purpose, and I was really terrified. I'm just really good at hiding it. So, on to the writing prompt. Share my screen. So the writing prompt in either poetic form or song structure, or just a few sentences, I want you to explore the concepts of time, space, and eternity. Either choose one or combine all together, up to you. And if at any point you get stumped, tie the feeling of joy and pain into one of those or all of the concepts above. So for example, time and pain, eternity and joy. I will play a song for you. You will have 7 minutes. And then as soon as the song is over, I will take a look at the comments section and see if there's anything that came to you during this writing prompt and ask you if you'd like to share. And again, please don't be shy. This is an open, safe space for sharing. And I want everybody to feel like they have no reason at all to be afraid when it comes to sharing something that was just written in 7 minutes. There is no judgment at all. All right, everybody ready? Okay. As soon as the song starts, the clock starts. All right, that was 7 minutes and 13 seconds. That should have been enough time for at least a couple words or sentences. Okay. Let's see, do I have anything in the chat yet? Because you don't. Yes, please share in the comments, Nick. That way everybody can follow along if you are going to end up reading something. Okay, we have one from Mia. Oh, we have one from Nick as well. The 4 Mias came in. Nick, would you like to read that part yourself or have me read it for you? I can. All right. This is what our singer-songwriter Nicholas Salpa came up with during those 7 minutes and 13 seconds. That song, by the way, was called Time and Space, which is what inspired the prompt. Time, space, eternity. Constructs of my mind find out what they mean to me. Are we not the demons written in ethos, a myriad of culture recorded until not the meaning lost, but the events themselves? They speak of thousands of years going by in seconds, but it's only the names of these constructs that change. It's only the faces that change. Great. I like how you ended up using all 3 of them. I felt like that would be definitely more challenging than choosing one, and you tied them all in beautifully together. Great job. Thanks for sharing, Nick. Next, we have one by Celeste. She is actually she's our singer who's coming up a little later. She has this gorgeous voice, you'll see. But I just wanted to let Jerry know that you said this is Mia's, but there was actually no content there. Oh, there it is. There we go. Okay. I'll read Celeste's next, unless you prefer to read it yourself, Celeste.
I can read it if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I had to turn my phone. I'm on my phone, not my laptop like you, so I had to turn it in order to write things down. So anyway, the past is a memory, the future is a dream, now is the present caught in between. We have eternity locked in one moment, fleeting as it may be. Stay here in this space, moving in place. Time stands still when I look at your face. The past is our memory, the future is our dream. Now is our moment that we can just be free.
That's gorgeous.
Thank you.
I like that. So you took I think, yeah, you mentioned eternity in there. You mentioned time. And then did you mention, you mentioned space, stay here in this space. Awesome. You did tie all 3 of them together. Love it. All right. So we have a really short one by Mia. Would you like to read your own, Mia, or would you like me to read it for you?
Would you read it, please, Elena?
Sure. Okay. Time, space, eternity. If there is one, there is all 3. Without one, then none may be. For time is space that you just can't see. It rhymes! That's extra challenging, trying to incorporate some rhyme in there with 7 minutes to work with. That was great. Thank you for sharing. All right, we have also, I believe, Leroy says he has one to read. If you could post it in the comments, Leroy, so people can follow along, unless you wrote it down by hand, that's all right. Would you like to read yours yourself, or would you like to send it to me and I read it for you?
I did write it down by hand, so I could just read it out loud if that's okay.
Sure, yeah.
Sweet. Time, a rhyme of divine sublime, intervention space of mind, be kind. Let go the mind of time tonight, step into the light of eternity, all right. Ever new joy is what life is about. The pain we go through makes us want to scream and shout. When we clear the mind, no more pain remains, only joy inside to create.
That's great. You're feeling more inspired to write by hand, huh?
I've been a musician for about 12 years, so it's always by hand.
Well, hopefully we'll feature your songs one of these days in a future workshop.
One of these days, yeah.
Yeah, well, whenever you're ready. Thank you for sharing the poem you wrote, or the piece you wrote during those 7 minutes.
Thank you.
We're inspired. We have another short one from Lagos. He is actually our painter who goes up next once we're done with this piece. And then we have one by Ashley. Lagos, would you like to read yours yourself or would you like me to read it for you?
Go ahead and read it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, one second. What is time for eternal beings like you and I, traveling throughout space, feeding on the illusions of love, fear, joy, and pain? But I'm growing tired of time, space, and I wonder if eternal beings can rest. That's very thought-provoking and beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. It's beautiful.
Pleasure.
And then there is a poem by Ashley. Ashley, did you want to share it yourself or would you like me to read it for you?
Can you read it for me, please?
Sure. And really quick, just so everybody knows, Ashley is actually a published author. She published a collection of poems. I was her editor, one of her editors. She had many, but we connected and we kept in touch since. And I was really excited to have her here because I already know I like her poetry a lot. All right, I'm going to read Ashley's poem. You're still young. You have time to explore your body and your mind, what your hands can do and what your lips can say. You're still young. You have the energy and the chance to make things better, to heal the world that we've led astray. You're still young. You don't understand economy or anarchy. You have no chance of changing our ways. You're still young. You'll change your mind like the rest of us, and you'll be begging to get paid. You're still young. I wish I was sorry that we disappointed you, but my pride holds me heavier than my sincerities. And no matter what you say or what you do, I'll exploit your strength as a casualty. Wow. I felt like I started reading that entirely wrong in the wrong voice. I was like, oh, it's a positive poem. I'll read it with this like sweet, thoughtful voice. And then I was like, oh, I gotta change the way I'm reading this. Halfway through I shifted and I was like, wait, it's more like berating somebody or like, I don't know, I need to get a little more aggressive with my voice there. You would have done a better job, but thank you for sharing that. And where did that come from?
I just graduated college, so I'm on my job search and everything that's been going on. And I thought about time and like how a lot of my family members have been like, oh, you're still young, you'll figure it out. So I started there. I thought I was gonna be like talking about jobs and stuff, but then kind of just went that way. So yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I'm so happy you participated and shared a poem with us. I think we're still waiting on one from Rory. I'll let her have a chance to share that. And while she does that, I'll share with you what I just came up with during those 7 minutes. For some reason, I'm stuck on this theme of age, I guess. You wrote about being young. Mine's the polar opposite, just like the first poem I read for you. And mine's pretty short. All I thought about was, they say time heals pain, which should mean that joy increases over time, as age kindly steals from us that which we no longer wish to remember. But why is the proverb selective, with whom it chooses to bless? For some grow old and weary and bitter, while others die with a smile, satisfied. That's it. All right, Rory shared hers in the comments section. I will read it for you since you want me to read it since you have no audio. All right. Time, in a haze and a blur, each moment seems to stir. Oxygen remains out of reach. The panic builds. I kneel, lay down. The room stops spinning. Overhead, the sky is still, and my lungs fill with the elixir of life. Those ticks of time have not changed in length, and yet they seem infinite, full. Oh, okay, so you explored time in a really beautiful way. Thank you for sharing that. I enjoyed reading it. I enjoyed reading all of your poetry. If I got a chance to read it, I was honored that you trusted me to. I'm sorry if I butchered your poem. And those of you who read it themselves, thank you for having the courage to do so. All right, let's see if is there anybody else, or we're going to move on to the next person in the program. Oh, there's one from Wendy. Wendy, would you like to read it yourself or have me read it for you?
You can read it. The last part, that really short and simple, it was just explaining.
Yeah, it's not part of the poem. I got that part. Okay. Give me a moment while I try to find the meaning of space and time. As far as I can see, it goes on for eternity. So I guess I'll come on my walk. Please join me. It's pretty. Thanks for sharing and for throwing that in there last minute, right before we moved on. Thanks. Okay, so next on our schedule, we have somebody who shared a little piece that he just wrote. I think he was the second person. His name is Lagos, and I actually met this guy in Costa Rica on one of my trips there. I was in a little town called Dominical, and this guy was giving away free art prints, and I grabbed some. Okay, I grabbed a lot, and I have a lot of them in my house, and I loved his style of painting, and I bought a couple more to take home and give away as gifts to friends. And when I was there, I decided I think he offered, or I asked, I'm not sure how it came about, but anyways, the art gallery where he was where he had his art featured, where he was giving away the free art, he and I ended up painting together, and he guided me the entire time. Actually, I have a little thing to show you here right before we start. So I had never painted with watercolors before, and Lagos was really good at that. So I decided to ask him to help me, and it turned out really cool. He guided me the entire time and taught me how to properly kind of overlay the layers of colors, starting with like the yellows and build up to like the darker ones. And it was a lot of fun for me. Oh, not only did he teach me how to use watercolors, but he taught me how to not be afraid of painting something I was always afraid of. I had never painted. This was one thing that was really scary for me to do. I've never painted myself. I've never painted a self-portrait. And I always thought it would look nothing like me and I would feel really stupid. So since I had a professional there guiding me the entire time, I told him, yeah, I actually have an idea of what I want to paint. And I showed him this picture of me that I had taken in Costa Rica. And this is the picture that I ended up painting, again, with a lot of his guidance. And this is me painting in his art gallery. Me still painting. This is the picture when I came back from, oh no, this is almost when it was done. I think it was 3 different days that I kept coming back to this art gallery. I was obsessed. I was there with a friend and I was just leaving him there to nap on the beach while I was just hanging out with this art gallery all day painting. And this is the final product. And I have it now hanging on my house in a different part of the room. Yeah, and now it's your turn, Lagos, to talk about artist's block, and he's going to share some of his paintings with us.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on right now with my process. And it's happened already a couple of times during this quarantine, and I just can't seem to paint. It takes me 30 sketches to feel like, oh, this is something nice. And then I try it and paint it, and I just ruin it. So I'm focusing back and forth on writing right now, but let me show you a little bit of what I do. So I'm going to show you first some of my most popular works. So this is done in coffee. It's all done in coffee. I did a few years ago. This is probably one of my most popular pieces. Quickly, a few of my popular ones, so you can compare to what I'm going through right now with the block.
I have this piece. I have a print.
This one, yeah. It was probably one of the most popular for years.
Mm-hmm.
It's my elephant. This one, which nobody notices, the horn is a penis.
I like, is that why you circled it on purpose so people pay attention?
Yeah, like, hey, just look at this. Because I saw these on a dream. Like I was walking up some stairs and it was like this huge graffiti of this. And and I saw it like, oh, I gotta paint that when I wake up. But like a lot of people are like, oh, I love it. I'm gonna take it for my granddaughter. I'm like, well, I don't know if that's what you want to do. So those are a few of my popular ones. Let me show you now what is happening. Okay, now you see the black and white one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So this is this is about the month or a couple months old. And I just started feeling like I can't do color anymore. I made this sketch, it's all done in pen, and I just wanted to do something fast. This was coming out of the first block. This is the first thing I did. I'm like, oh, that's nice. I like it. Let's try and make it, you know, a little bit more detail. And this is what I did. I'm like, oh no, that's not good. So to do ink, I did this terrible. This was actually for a commission. Like, I can't send this. Like, this is not happening. So recently I made this one. Like, it's the same idea or the same person. It's looking better now, but I'm still stuck. Like, I paint a little bit, and then I feel like it's going well, and at some point I feel like it's not going well. I don't know what to do next. So I just abandoned everything right now. This is a sketch. I'm like, yeah, it's really good. I love it. I'm gonna do this, and it's fine. I bought it a bit the anatomy. I'm like, okay, I guess. Oh, perfect. So this is something I liked. But again, it seems like to me right now, the things that I like, it's on pencils. For some reason, I'm struggling a lot with watercolor, with acrylics, with everything. If I try to add some color, this is another sketch that I really liked, a little bit of self-portrait. And what I feel, it's like, I feel like this, like I'm just here kind of bored, kind of dull emotions, everything because of the quarantine, because I'm just locked here in the mountain by myself. There's not a lot of emotional, I don't know, like nothing's really happening in my life right now that makes me feel something that I want to express. So everything just kind of looks like this. Everybody's just sitting there kind of bored. This is another concept that I've tried to do for a while now. It's like a giraffe woman. And this is the closest I've come to like, oh yeah, I like that. But she has her little giraffe horns. But again, I just abandoned everything midway. This is one that I love the sketch. I tried to paint it. It looks horrible. Especially because I was telling Lena yesterday, I'm using now a lot of yellows, oranges, which I never do. And I struggle a lot with those colors, but for some reason, I'm just pushing myself to make it work. So on top of the artist block, whenever I'm painting, I'm using colors that I never use. So I'm just making it harder for myself. And this is something that I did that I liked. Like, this is one of the few ones that I'm like, oh yeah, I was good. And they just come like any random day. I'm like, oh, today I can paint. Just a quick little piece. Again, kind of just the same feeling of just sitting there, being bored by life. And this is a little sketch that I did yesterday. I really liked it. Now I'm focusing on writing a mermaid novel. So whenever I'm sketching my mermaids, I'm enjoying the process. So I'm thinking right now I'm just gonna focus more on that. because it seems to be working. I was saying that because there's not a lot of real emotions for me right now. If I focus on the emotions of my fictional characters, I get to feel something extra, and then I can draw from that. It's another design from my mermaids. Another sketch, just being bored, frustrated, and it took me like 30 times erasing it to just get to there. It's kind of all right. This is another one that came out nicely. I've had more luck when doing more erotical, like erotic art, again, because of the quarantine. It's one of the things that we all get to feel the quarantine hits. This is another one that I did that I really liked. Again, just randomly one day I can seem to paint for a few hours. And this is another sketch. I'm like, oh, I like that. It feels like, especially this little one here, I love it. But then I was trying to paint this one, and I feel like I butchered it. So yeah, I just leave them, abandon everything in frustration.
Mm-hmm.
And this was another one. I was trying to make a little tutorial video, and I love the sketch. Then I start painting. I hate it. I throw the camera away, and then I'm like, oh, that was like, I finish it in rage, complete anger, and then something that I like happens. And I'm like, damn it, I should have kept recording. But yeah, that's, you know, the process. So that's about it.
Oh, by the way, Lagus,
Yeah.
the comments saying your experimental color palette with the orange yellow, people are actually loving it, and it's new and different to you, but people are loving it.
Yeah, like I understand that, you know, as I was telling you before, technically, you know, it's not horrible. It's just that to me, it lacks the emotion. A lot of them lack the emotion that I like seeing in my work. And if I don't see that, then I don't see why would I finish it? Why would I keep going? So that's why I find it frustrating. But you know, like this one, it's a model that I really like, and you know, I love the sketch. But because of my recent struggles with color, like I started coloring and then I was like, oh shit, what if I ruin it? And so I just left it there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you know, this one, I don't know. It started well. Maybe I can save it, but we'll see. Let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Celeste
Not
says
that
in the comments that thank you for being real and showing us the work you're not proud of.
bad. My pleasure. It happens a lot. Like, you know, people think that, you know, I sit and I'm like, yeah, here's another masterpiece. There you go. But no, like every piece, it has a process where I love the sketch. I start painting. Usually midway, like at some point, I just hate it. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm bringing shame to my ancestors. And then, you know, I just keep going, and eventually, like, oh, this is looking good again. So I know like that's part of the process, but right now I haven't done. I haven't been able to break through that point in a lot of my paintings. So the frustration, it's just building up to the point where like, okay, I'm just gonna step back and do something else. Like the last time like I stepped back, I started writing, I started dancing, I started just focusing on all the things, all the creative outlets, because then I feel the pressure. Like if I'm not making art, I'm not being productive. I'm not, you know, what is the point of my existence if I'm not making art? So that's not, it doesn't help the process to feel like you have to be producing constantly, especially with, you know, social media. Like, I should be posting something every day, and it's like, that's not helping either. So yeah, right now I'm like, okay, just gonna go back to that dancing and writing and see what comes out of that.
Lagos will end up posting his information in the comments once he's done, so that you can, like Brandy just asked, so that you can all find his work online. Did you want to share anything else about Artist's Block, or was it what you said while you were showing some of those pieces?
Well, I think that for me, that's about it. Like, if somebody's struggling with that, just step back. Don't try to force yourself to produce anything. You know, step back, do something else. That's what I do every time. This is how I discovered that I love dancing, and it's another way to, you know, force some emotions, some intense emotions into myself. That then I can use for painting. Same I'm discovering right now with writing, and I can create some fictional emotions that then I can use for painting. So yeah, just if you're struggling with that, just take your time, chill. Stress doesn't work very well.
Yeah, pressuring yourself won't really help. Speaking of dancing, we are going to have a dancer on one of our virtual shows in the future who is going to give us a movement prompt instead of a writing prompt. And I'm really excited for that. But just so you all know, Lagos is also going to be featured in the very next virtual creative workshop and variety show, where I'm going to interview him a little more and get a little more in depth on his process, what he uses, how he started, etc., and then open up to a question and answer session. For this session, we're doing that with Celeste Barbier, who's going to be next in just a second here. But if you do want to see more of his work and do hear more about his process as an artist, he will be in the very next virtual creative workshop, which is, they are always going to be on the 15th and 30th of each month. So the 15th next month is going to be the next one. Lagos also writes. He mentioned he dances and he writes, and he's also going to help us out with some writing prompts in the future for future creative workshops. And on to Celeste Barbier. I met Celeste in San Diego, actually, when I lived there. And I met her at a gallery, an art gallery, and a wine shop. I had actually rented out the wine shop part of the building for 30 women to drink wine and paint on wine glasses. And Celeste sang in the other room for visitors to the art gallery. And I was very distracted the entire time while I was trying to paint, because I kept wanting to watch her sing. And at the end of that, I bought her CD, and even when I moved away from San Diego, I played that CD nonstop for like 5 years until I ended up scratching it up and it doesn't play anymore. And then so after that happened, I was like, I need to find more by her. So I searched her up online, found out she has a social media presence, and she does these free live concerts all the time. So I get to hear her voice on Facebook anytime I want to. So we reconnected that way. I watched all her things for a couple of months, and then here she is today, gracing my first virtual workshop with her presence.
Well, thank you for having me, Alina. It's so nice. I'm so glad you remember do you remember what the name of that gallery was? What art gallery that was that I was singing at?
It actually doesn't exist anymore.
Was it Art Beat on Main Street in Vista?
It was on Main Street. Yes.
Art Beat on Main Street in Vista. That's the one. Yep. I know that was kind of like a little family. And you got one of those CDs. Those are my home recordings back in the day when I was not doing professional vocal recording. So I'm so glad you wore that one into the crowd. That's awesome. Well, I have to make sure that you get the 2 new ones that I have, but I already sent you some of the new recordings. You have those, so I'll send you some more.
I definitely, I'll pull up some of your album covers for people to look at here and there while you're answering some interview questions, but I definitely need to get those new CDs. Absolutely. And Celeste will also share her information in the chat section. If not yet, then afterwards, so that you can all connect with her and get her CD if you'd like it after you hear her voice. But before you get to hear her voice, I have some interview questions so that you can get to know Celeste a little bit. So since you're the full feature and you have the entire interview with me, and there's also going to be a question and answer session at the end where the audience is welcome to ask you a few questions after they hear you sing. But my very first question for you is the most generic one that you probably get all the time, and that's, how did you get started as a singer?
Yeah, that is definitely the most common question. In fact, that's how I wrote my bio. If you ever go to my bio on my website, celestebarbier.com, I wrote my bio with the most commonly asked questions first. But I did start singing when I was a really little girl. I was singing in church. I was raised in the Catholic Church, and my mom and dad did not know how to read music, but they both played classic guitar and they sang in the church choir. So I remember like opening up hymnals and pretending that I could read and sing all the songs and the hymns. I was like 3. And then later, I just started singing in musical theater and singing in different like community choirs and eventually school choir. And then I did local competitions, like statewide competitions, and I always came in first place. Every single contest I ever did, I got first place. And that was kind of interesting to me. And then, but I kept moving. I moved a lot as a kid, so I never was able to get established in one state because we always moved from place to place. Lived in California, Colorado, Washington, Texas, Florida, Australia, Hawaii, and Virginia. And finally, I ended up deciding that I wanted to be a music major. So I was an opera performance major at Chapman University, where I got to sing for Pope John Paul II in the Sistine Chapel with a private audience with the Pope, and tour Italy as a singer, and then the Western United States. But that's kind of how it started. And then, like everyone after college, I was like, I need a job. So I went and got regular, hourly wage jobs. I was a custom art framer. And I had this really weird mindset, and this kind of touches on something that is personal, because sometimes it's really hard what society tells you you can and can't do versus what you really can and can't do. And if you believe the lies that people tell you, you can prevent yourself from really doing what you truly should be doing and following your passions. I was told, because I've always been a big girl. I've always been a chubby girl. And I was told by my mother and by teachers when I was young that I would never be able to get a job as a singer because I'm fat and that nobody would hire me. So I had this whole thing through my 20s of, I'll sing when I'm skinny, I'll sing when I'm skinny. And skinny just doesn't seem to be in the cards for me, ever. And no matter try as I might, I've never been able to really lose the weight. So when I hit my 30th birthday, I couldn't believe that I wasn't singing as a career. So I started putting myself out there as a singer, and friends were like, you can sing? And I'm like, yeah, that's a big part of who I am. I just haven't been out about it. And then, I was in like 5 bands. I was in a big band, rockabilly bands, jazz trios, and other groups. And then I suddenly was so busy that I had to quit my day jobs, and I just became a full-time musician by 2014. So that's where I'm at right now. And now all I do is sing. At least before COVID, all I was doing, I had 30 shows a month. And then I started becoming a professional recording artist back in the end of during 2019, a year ago. So that's where we're at. And I've put out 2 records now.
Awesome. You answered some of my next questions as well, which was, how did you make it your career? And then my next question was, pre-COVID, what did your singing career look like? And you did mention that you had all these different shows, and of course now the majority of those are non-existent. So maybe you can talk about a little bit what you've been doing since we've all been quarantined and you've been doing your virtual shows instead.
Yeah, and I can tell you a little bit about, so when you say you have a music career, that can be a very broad spectrum, like what exactly do you do? So I did have bands earlier in when I started, and I had this idea that you have to have a band to have a job. Like that's the only way to get booked. But then I noticed that when I was getting booked with the band, I was making less than $100, maybe 40 or 50 bucks a show. And I'm like, I'm never going to be able to live on this. There's just no way. So I got myself a sound system, my own PA system, and everything that I needed. And I just put myself out there. At first, I was busking and doing performances at public spaces where I would just ask them, can I come and sing? There was this antique market. And I would stand on the corner and I would sing in this antique market, and I would sell my little homemade CDs like the one that you got. And also when I performed at that art gallery, they weren't paying me to perform there. I was just performing there to try to get some exposure. So in the beginning, it was like all free shows all the time. I was busking and doing farmers markets and things like that, and living on tips. And then people kept asking, do you have a CD? Do you have a CD? And I'm like, no. So I kind of made those like illegal CDs. Like it's just tracks and me singing of other people's music. So I did that, and it helped a little bit. But from that, I started getting the weddings and started getting the corporate events and started getting, I started singing for senior living communities and Alzheimer's patients. And that was a big passion of mine, because when I went to college, I actually had in mind to be to have a second major as a music therapist. However, I didn't qualify. First of all, they told me that the way I wanted to work with was hospice care and Alzheimer's patients. And they said, no, there's no jobs in that. Well, there wasn't then, but there is now. But they don't call it music therapy. I'm just an entertainer. I come in and I perform for residents. So I started singing at a lot of assisted livings. And at one point, I had 26 assisted living communities that I was performing at a month. And I had to kind of pull back. There was too many. I was all over the place. But then I was just weddings and corporate events and lots of, wine bars and fancy upscale restaurants and brunch cruises and things like that. But that's what I was all doing pre-COVID. So back in March, suddenly I got all these text messages and emails that every single thing on my calendar was canceled. And I was like, oh God, what am I going to do? This is my only source of income. And at that time, they hadn't even talked about whether unemployment would be available for self-employed entertainers and things like that. So I was kind of in a panic, but I didn't want to, also for two reasons. One, I wanted to see if I could get some support from my fan base to kind of make it through this, but also because I didn't want to lose my stamina, because I was doing 30 shows a month. Oftentimes I would do 8 hours of singing in a day, because I would sing like three gigs, 2 to 3 gigs per day. So when I say 30 shows a month, everyone's like, every single day? I'm like, no, Mondays and Tuesdays, there's no gigs. But Wednesdays through Sundays, I was doing often 2 to 3 gigs a day. And so I didn't want to lose my stamina, because it's like almost, I'm a very athletic person without looking so. It takes a lot of muscle memory and breath support to just kind of stand there and deliver music for hours and hours on end. And so I didn't want to lose my stamina, because also another thing about me is I don't take breaks. When I do 3 and 4 hour shows, I never take a break. It's solid music. I never like to lose the momentum. So that's one thing. So I started immediately on Saturdays. I started a Celeste by Request show. So I have a song list of music that I cover from the 1920s through 2020. So I have 100 years of music that I do. And I have such a diverse fan base. I have a lot of people that are over like the age of 60 who love all the old standards from like the 30s and 40s. And a lot of people that knew me in the beginning, that's all I was doing. And so they request those songs. Then I have another generation of people who only like the 70s singer-songwriter stuff from John Denver and the Carpenters and Carole King. And then I have people that like the modern stuff by John Legend and Christina Perri. And so I have this huge song list of 330 songs that I do. And so I do Celeste by Request on Saturdays from 2 to 5 p.m. So it's a 3-hour show, no breaks, streaming from my Facebook. And everybody gets to watch that show. So they get to watch and they get to pick the show. They get to pick the songs. It's not my choice. And it's funny because a lot of times I end up doing the same show every Saturday. Everyone wants this. There's a certain top 10 songs that people always want, or maybe top 30 songs. But one thing I always wanted to do was I had wanted to become a recording artist and write my own music and put out something original into the world. And I didn't know how to do that because I write lyrics. It's easy for me to write poetry and write lyrics, but I don't play an instrument. So writing songs was a little more difficult for me. And then by some magic, manifestation, a little bit of putting it out there that in the universe what I wanted, I created a dream team that came to me, and they are Grammy award-winning producer and songwriter team, and the three of us created my records together. So and actually this week both of my records are being submitted for Grammys, so I'm really excited. But I do that, and I also started singing telegrams, which I call celestograms. So that stuff is kind of carrying me, and selling CDs. Spotify, I've got like 30,000 listeners on my first album. That I've only had my first album on Spotify, but I'm up to 30,000 people listening to my one original song, Tidal Wave. And now I have 2 original songs that just got released on my new album. So that's where I'm at.
I'm going to share a screenshot of your album cover of Tidal Wave.
I'm so excited. When I got this, when I went and picked these CDs up, it was like seeing a dream that was suddenly manifested in reality, because let me tell you a little bit about this cover on this album. I sing for weddings, and that's a wedding dress that I'm wearing. And I have this huge, amazing headdress on that I had custom made by a really good friend of mine who does like tiki stuff and like all these rockabilly and tiki headpieces. And she's a good friend of mine. I said, can you help me create this? And so her and I went to Joann's Fabrics and Michael's and picked out all the pieces and created this elaborate headpiece. And then it was really weird, and I know it was part of that I'm really into manifestation. This wedding boutique owner contacted me and said, I've been watching you, and I would like you to be a model, one of my dresses, and I want to do a trash the dress where you wear one of my dresses into the ocean. And I'm like, ding, 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 ding. This is hitting all the notes of my album cover and exactly what I want. I wanted to be coming out of the ocean, like very mermaidian. I'm a Pisces, so that was like let's make this sea nymph, sea goddess kind of theme come to life. And oh my God, I didn't have to pay for this photo shoot. I didn't have to pay anything for this photo shoot. I didn't have to pay anything for the dress. I was modeling for her. She paid for the dress and the photo shoot. I paid for the headdress. And then I had this the photographer also happened to be a great photo editor, and she added this massive tidal wave coming in behind me that I asked her to do. And it was just kismet. Like, this just was exactly how I dreamed it looking, and just looking very powerful and goddess-like and come with me and beckoning. And so when I got it, I wanted to cry, because it was just the first album I'd ever put out, and it was so me. It was so exactly who I wanted to be seen as with this music. So I'm so proud of that when I see that.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna pull up your other album cover for your newest CD.
Okay, let me tell you about this album cover. My wife is an artist. My wife is this incredible artist. She does a unique style, and that is her art behind me. It's actually 2 separate canvases, 2 separate pieces, acrylic on canvas, 2 pieces, one of this night sky and stars and just all these pink and purple swirling beautiful colors. And then she added the little spaceship, and I was tickled to bits. I'm like, oh my God, the spaceship is everything. That's my favorite part of this piece. I'm like, and I absolutely loved the spaceship. And then on the sun, on the other side, she had it all done with the sun, and I was like, you know what, it needs something else. It needs birds. And then so she added these like cool birds, and it just came together. And I'm playing with a motif because there's a poem I wrote when I was 14 years old called 2 Worlds, which me and my co-writer, Jane Getz, she's my composer, we wrote this song together. And it really is a play on the yin and yang concepts. Darkness inside of light, light inside our darkness. So you'll see my black hair is aligned with the sunshine, my blonde hair is aligned with the night, then the earrings to also complement, and then I have like the sunny, the sunset eye makeup that I did, and then I did my the blue lipstick to represent the night. So I'm so proud of this because my wife's art gets to be displayed on it. And we did the release party for this album on her birthday, which was on July 11th. So just came out. This is brand new. And I'm very proud of it.
You should be. I love that you share the stories behind both of these album covers, that it wasn't just like a, here, can you make me a cover? There's like a whole story behind each one and how special they are to you. And I'm glad that that wedding dress photo shoot with the tidal wave also worked out that way, where you didn't need to cover it. Yeah. But,
and the photography on this one was a photographer that was a good friend of mine. And my wife is also like a massage therapist, Reiki master. So it was a trade for photography. You know, artists, we work on barter and trade a lot.
Yeah, that's perfect. So you all will be hearing 2 songs from this album, correct? And then
yes,
and
one from Tidal Wave from the first.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I was going to tell you, Tidal Wave also. So each album is dedicated to somebody too that's special to me. Tidal Wave is dedicated to my wife, Renee, because she is everything. And the song Tidal Wave, which is the first or ever original song that I've recorded and performed, is a love poem to her. If you ask her, she'll always say, that's my song, that's my song. And then this album, even though it displays her art on it, is dedicated to my father, who was my biggest fan, and he died when I was 16 years old. And he kind of like was there during this really difficult time in my life where I was kind of suicidal and in a really dark place, which is where Two Worlds was written out of that place. But on this album also features Unchained Melody, which is the last song that I ever performed before he passed. And I was singing to him in the hospital while he was dying. And on this album, Two Worlds, I brought in this world-class harpist who's a very good friend of mine. And her name is Candice Lavolsi Valentine. She's on this album and she's performing the harp on Two Worlds and on Unchained Melody. And she's phenomenal, incredible harpist.
Wow, good to know. And
that's very touching that you used to perform for people at the hospice. You said that was one of your previous jobs, right? And you ended up doing that.
Mostly, I never did get a job working in hospice. I work a lot with Alzheimer's patients. However, several times, one of my patients that I've been singing for, the activities directors have called me in and said, look, one of the people that loves you the most is on their deathbed. They're on hospice in our facility. Can you come and sing to them bedside? And I've done that a few times.
And then in a way, you ended up doing that for your father as you said goodbye.
I did. That's what inspired me to want to do that is being with him when my father was on his deathbed. I noticed that when I sang to him, his oxygen levels went up and his blood pressure went down and all of his numbers got better on the screen. And I was fascinated. Like, my little analytical brain was like, oh my God, are they doing studies on this? This is incredible. And then I found out about music therapy after the fact. And I was like, so they are using music to heal people because they do see this. Because I could see it at 16. And I'm like, he's responding. His body is responding. They said he couldn't hear me. They said, oh, he can't hear you. He's unconscious. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Look at his blood pressure. Look at his oxygen. It's so much better. Look at his heart rate. So it really inspired me.
Wow, that's so beautiful. So you all will get to hear 3 songs from Celeste today. Unfortunately, Zoom has an issue with background tracks, unless the musician's playing music right there in front of you. But if it's a track being played in the background, apparently Celeste warned me ahead of time when I invited her to this show that it will filter out that sound and it'll sound very good.
Yeah.
That's the reason she's not going to be performing live. But just yesterday, she recorded 3 different videos for me. And I will play those for you and you can watch her perform just yesterday, just pretend it's today. And then I'm going to stop each video and let Celeste talk about the inspiration behind each of her songs. So let me just pull that up for you really quick. If there's anything you want to add while I pull these up, feel free to.
No, I just hope to get back to work again soon because a lot of my people that come to my shows, like a lot of the main comment that I get is that people come for their healings. They come for their soul healing. Like there are people that need their dose of Celeste because they feel like especially when like things are a little soul crushing out there right now, and they feel like they need to come and get to be fulfilled. And I'm most touched by those comments. And one of the reasons that I became a singer was because early on, when I was an opera singer and singing these beautiful songs, I noticed I had this crazy power to make people cry a lot. And it made me realize that means that I was touching something that was beneath the surface for people. And I was really connecting with people. And I really, having moved as many times as I did and kind of being socially awkward and a little bit just uncomfortable and insecure about myself, I really loved the idea that I could reach and touch people I didn't even know and like resonate something stir something within their soul and make a connection that I had a hard time connecting with. Even my own family, who was kind of abusive and kind of hard to work with. But here I had this connection with perfect strangers. So it made me want to be a singer. So now that audiences are telling me that there are people that'll tell me that they'll put my CD in their car and it'll stay in there for years. And it'll, like you.
That's what happened to me.
They won't stop playing the CDs. They won't stop playing them. And every time they're just so happy. You don't even know. Like there's people that have come over to my house and they start their car and I'm like, is that my CD? I can hear it. And they're like, yeah, I never take it out. And so, I mean, that really like moves me. That's just a beautiful thing.
I think that's why it broke, is because I left it in there for 5 years.
You would think that just having a laser going around, it shouldn't mess it up, but oh, who knows?
I don't know. Maybe I also got in a car accident with the CD inside so maybe there's like some.
Yeah, that could happen.
But I have your video all ready to share with everybody here. I'm going to play Tidal Wave first as requested, since that is her newest song.
And that came out on Thanksgiving last year. Also about this song, it got right before COVID. In February, it got to the top 10 on radio, national radio, for independent music and for adult contemporary top 40 music. And it was like in the top 10 on national radio. And then COVID happened and I just stopped getting radio play. And I was like, oh.
What? Do you think people listen to music more now? They have more.
It was that a lot of the radio DJs left the DJ, like they just started putting everything on auto loop. So they weren't taking on new music anymore.
Or requests, yeah, or paying attention to what's popular makes sense.
Yeah.
You'll get that back once everything's over. All right, so this is Tidal Wave, which, as Celeste explained, is a love song to her wife.
When the night falls on the briny day and the moon becomes a blazing torch, I will rise up when the world's asleep. I will come ashore, feel my power drawing near from the bottom of the sea. I'll wash away all your doubts and fears and carry you away with me. Tidal wave, my love is like a tidal wave. Sins of the past, heartaches you had, I'll bury in the sand. Your love will change. Tidal wave, my love is like a tidal wave. Now I am your siren song. I'll come crashing on your shores. A strange and haunting melody your life will change. Tidal wave, my love is like a tidal wave. I'll carry you across the sea. We were always meant to be. Tidal wave, my love is like a tidal wave. Sins of the past, heartaches you had, are very innocent. Your life will change. Nothing will remain. Tidal wave, my love is like a tidal wave. Tidal wave, my love is like a tidal wave. A tidal wave.
So that song was recorded with Bob Tucker, and he is my producer along with Jane Getz. Jane Getz is also my composer, co-writer. Bob Tucker plays the guitar and bass on this album. Jane plays the piano, and then we brought in a world-class drummer. All of these musicians, Bob Tucker, he got his Grammys for producing, he produced The Temptations, but he also produced Tupac Shakur and India Arie and other world-class musicians. So I feel really lucky. They choose, they're kind of in semi-retirement, so they don't really work with people. You can't advertise, there's no place to look up their production studios or anything like that. But I have a friend who is a CBS executive that heard me singing, and she said, I need to introduce you to these people to see if they want to work with you. So I feel really fortunate that I got to record with them, and they are now part of my team for recording my albums. So I'm really excited. So I've just been having an amazing time doing original music for the first time in my life.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are you ready for the next song?
I am, if you are.
I've Come Alive or Two Worlds?
Let's do Two Worlds, since that's the album track title. And again, Two Worlds is a poem that I wrote when I was 14 years old. And it goes, two worlds, one and the same, both for those of whence we came. One world of dark and disharmony, the other of light and melody. Now in the dark there lies a good, and in the light the devil once stood. The yin and the yang, a balance of two, darkness and light reside in you. But we took yin and yang and turned it to good and bad. But otherwise, we really didn't change the lyrics. We did add a little chorus that's slightly different, and that was Jane's idea. But on this song, you will hear Candace playing her harp, and she's played with Merle Haggard and Evanescence and almost every major orchestra and symphony in North America. So she's amazing, and she's a very good friend of mine in San Diego.
Awesome. Okay, here we go.
Both of those from whence we came. One world of dark and disharmony, the other light and melody. Two worlds, one and the the good. And in the light, the devil once stood. The good, the bad, a balance of the two. Darkness and light reside in you. Two worlds, one and the same. Two worlds, let's erase the boundaries. Two worlds, our dreams, just you and me. Two worlds, one and the one world of darkened harmony, the other light and melody. Two worlds, one and the same. Ooh, oh, two worlds, one and the same.
All right, that was Two Worlds. Did you have anything to add about that song before we play your third one?
No, I love that guitar solo by Bob Tucker. I think that it was beautifully done, beautifully written song. And I feel like so there's a deeper meaning in this, in that everybody, okay, so me and my wife have a joke, and we're like, even no matter how much you dislike a person, like a person can be a complete jerk. To somebody else, they might be a sweetheart, to somebody, like somebody's mama loves them, or somebody, they have somebody that people have two sides. Everybody, the worst person in the world might have this really soft side that you don't get to see. And then the sweetest person in the world could be a complete asshole when nobody's looking. You don't know, but there's that everything comes in dualities, and usually they balance one another out. So usually if somebody is an extreme on one way, they might have an extreme other side, or they might have just worked through some extreme like past issues to become the amazing person that they are today. And a lot of people tell those stories. They tell you, like, because like people are like, oh, you're amazing, you're incredible, but you don't know the storm, and you don't know what they had to get through to be that person. And I know that for me, when I wrote that poem at 14, I was in the darkest years of my life. And so now I feel like I live in the light, but that darkness is always there as part of who I am. And I wouldn't be the light person that I am now if I hadn't gone through and walked through the valley of the shadows of death, right? And been in that dark space and place. So I think that that's the purpose of that song, is to really to show the dualities of all of life.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. That's beautifully explained. I love that. I love the part where you said somebody's mama loves them.
Yeah, even serial killers have somebody who likes them. And they might have a puppy. It might be their dog, is their best friend.
You're right. So, this third video of you singing I've Come Alive.
I've Come Alive. And I started writing this song around 22, and then at first it was about long distance relationships, and then it became a full-blown love song.
Oh.
As you're fast asleep and dreaming, stars twinkling in the galaxy. Do you feel me here beside you? Do you dream of me? As you're wandering by the shoreline, sand beneath your feet. As you walk along, lost in thought, do you dream be a caress. You are the best thing in my life. Sunny days and starry nights that never end. You make me laugh, you make me cry, you make me come alive. I'll come alive again. I'll come alive. I'll come alive again. Tell me what makes you happy and what inspires you. Do you long to feel my heartbeat when I'm lying there beside you? I need your affection, it's no mystery. You have touched my soul, with you I am complete. I need your arms around me, I'm all alone in my head. Wrapped around my body, I wanna be a caress. You are the best thing in my life. Sunny days and the starry nights that never end. You make me laugh, you make me cry, you make me come alive. I'll come alive again. I'll come alive. I'll come alive again. Do you feel the same? You know my words come from the heart. I don't have to explain. You are the best thing in my life. Sunny days and starry nights. You make me laugh, you make me cry. Come alive, I'll come alive, I'll come alive, I'll come alive again.
I think that was my favorite from those three.
Yeah, it's got like a little catchy little tune. I like it a lot too. So that's my newest release. I'm really excited about my songs and trying to see people's reactions to them. And so very few people have heard them because I just did my CD release party at the Lafayette on July 11th. And anyway, so this is my friend. This is my buddy. This is Wazo the parrot. And he's number 2 fan around here after my wife. But between him and her, they constantly ask me to sing for them. I'm like their singing, dancing monkey around here. So there's a lot of pressure. He does not know the lyrics to my songs, but he does, in answer to a question that somebody just posed, he does not know the answers to the lyrics, or he doesn't know the lyrics, but he does sing a very beautiful note. So when he wants me to sing, what he does is he goes, oh, just one note.
That's hilarious. He's trying.
Yeah. If I could get him to do it on camera, that'd be awesome, but no, he's shy.
Oh, he was wandering around behind you earlier during the interview part, and now he's like, "Oh, I get to sit on her shoulder and look at everybody."
Yeah, I had to go get him because he was gonna start a if he's not included, he can start a ruckus. So we have to make sure he's included.
So just so everybody knows, I see him regularly making a ruckus, well, pretty much daily. Celeste is a daily part of my life because she has these quarantine times that she does. She posts them on her Facebook page, her as a vocalist, her singer Facebook page.
And also on the Quarantine Network, which is a Facebook page that you can easily look up for more creative things that people have been doing since quarantine started.
And she does these really cool quarantine times, is what she calls them, where she drinks tea and she reads to you whose birthday it is today from people all the way back in history, and shares a little history lesson with us and picks out a few favorite quotes. And a lot of them are really powerful. And I mean, you educate me every single day when I watch it. I love it. It's part of my daily entertainment. And he's usually in those videos just like squawking in the background.
He makes cameo appearances. Yeah. He does. Sometimes he doesn't wake up that early. He doesn't wake up till noon. So a lot of times I can't get him to be in the videos with me, but occasionally he has to be there.
That's awesome. And just so everybody knows, yes, you can find Celeste in her quarantine times on her profile on Facebook. She also shared her Instagram. She also shared her Venmo if you felt like you would like to tip. And her website she shared earlier, which is celestebarbier.com. And she also shared where you can get her CDs, and that's all in the comments section. He decided to leave.
That's how he is. He comes and goes. Just like any cat or dog, all he does is wander around. He actually has done concerts with me. He's been hired to perform. Like we did a show together. One, we were doing a fundraiser once for Wild Wonders, which is a exotic animal rescue sanctuary and like a little zoo over in Bonsall. And they raise money because they have like a cheetah and they have all these like porcupines and skunks and like all these different animals. So Wazo was part of that show. We did a fundraiser for them. And then the huge Museum of Art in La Jolla, they actually paid him and like booked him, and he wore a tuxedo. He has a tuxedo. It's for my wedding. He was my wedding bearer, our ring bearer in our wedding when my wife and I got married. But he has a tuxedo, and it was like a glamping theme. And I guess when I sat down to talk to them about the event, they said that they were trying to get monkeys, but it was a health code violation. And so they asked if anybody had any ideas of other exotic animals. And I'm like, I have an exotic parrot. He's pretty cool. Like he loves, and oh my God, I swear this guy wants to be in show business really bad, because every time I put him in a show, he has been the most well-behaved, charming little creature you ever met in your life. He says hello to everyone really sweetly. He loves the attention. He digs it. So he's been trying to get into my shows for a while, but not everybody allows parrots in their venues.
Yeah. Oh, I love him. He's awesome. Well,
was there any questions?
Yes. Did anybody have a couple of, we can take like 2 or 3 questions really quick, then we'll have one more closing musician, and that will be the end of the show. We're near the very end now. Did we have questions from the audience for Celeste?
No.
We can wait a second. Anything about her career as a singer, anything about something she said during her interviews? Actually, I have one thing I wanted to mention. When I was interviewing you and I asked you about how you got started as a singer, there's one story I was secretly hoping you would mention, and that was in one of your videos where it was you and your wife. It might have been your anniversary live stream, and you talked about how you sang in front of your wife for the very first time, and you were kind of, like, this isn't something you usually do, so you're just like, okay, what are you gonna say?
And she basically said,
why aren't you famous?
Well, the funny thing is, she wouldn't listen to me sing. So when we first met, she like kept putting it off, and she wouldn't let me sing for her. I'm like, you have to hear me sing. It's a part of who I am. And she's like, I'm busy. I've got places to be. And she wouldn't listen to me sing, because what she says is every girl says they can sing, but most can't. So she didn't want to be, she liked me so much, she was afraid that would be a deal breaker, and that I would just be like, well, and that she would be like, yeah, you're okay. And she's very blunt, very, very blunt. And then I would be like, well, screw you then. You can't be with me. So, so she was scared. She was scared to give me her honest opinion, because she knows she can't hide it. And so finally, I like sat her down. I'm like, you don't listen to me sing. You don't know who I am. I need to sing a song for you. And I sang My Funny Valentine and a classical aria called Pietà Signore. It's an Italian aria. It's very dramatic. And it basically says, don't throw me into the fiery depths of hell. Please have pity on me. And anyways, I sang her these two songs and she just looked at me blankly and was like, why aren't you famous? And so that was a good reaction, but she looked mad and I was like, that she went from like not wanting to hear me at all to being like mad that I'm not a singer. And I'm like, and I wasn't singing at all at that time, like career wise or anything. So she's been my #1 fan ever since. And she just started her art career maybe like, yeah, just like 3 years ago now, 3 years ago. And so we both are each other's biggest cheerleaders and like support. I'm her publicist because she's super shy. You'll never get her on one of your workshops. I can tell you that right now. She won't talk. She won't. She's not an interview type. She won't talk about herself. So I have to be her publicist, and then she's my roadie and my driver and my, like, she greets all the people that come to my shows and shows them where to sit and introduces them to each other. So she's invaluable to me, and she's just an amazing partner to have.
I remember at that show where I saw you at the art gallery, I remember her sitting there at a table videotaping you. And I remember thinking, who's this lady who's like obsessed with Celeste? She's just
videotaping
the whole time.
She's totally obsessed. Totally obsessed. You know, she's like every time I catch her on her phone, like just diddling around, she's always editing videos of me or looking at pictures of me or commenting on things about me. And it's always like, I don't find pictures of other women on her phone, just like a crap ton of pictures of myself, like every picture of me. So it's like kind of being married to your stalker, which is awesome if they're not, when they're not bad. But she's incredible, and it's just nice to be so incredibly loved. 15 years, and it's still the same every day.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah. So I did also, I think you mentioned this very briefly before, but I did want to let people know, I think this is one of the coolest things that you do now that you're you had to transition into like a virtual lifestyle as a singer. Those Celestograms that you mentioned really quickly. If anybody knows anybody who wants to receive a little Celestogram, which is a pre-recorded song by Celeste greeting that person, whether it's a birthday or an anniversary or whatever it is, I think that's a fantastic idea. And she sends those out to your loved ones if you request that from her. And again, I mentioned those quarantine times. She also does this like Black History trivia test where she has these cards and she just wants people to be more aware and more educated about Black history. What are they called? Is it Test with Celeste?
Test with Celeste. Well, you know, equality has always, civil rights issues and equality issues have always been at the forefront of the most important things to me. And I do have a lot of fans. I do have a lot of friends. And I do feel like I have a voice that matters and resonates in my community. So I have been making my voice heard about how I feel about Black Lives Matter and about equal rights. I was a big advocate for, you know, marriage equality and things like that. And I just feel like I have to say how I feel about these things. However, it does not come without its consequences. And there are people that have unfriended me. Recently, I've been on the news, not for something that wasn't good. I received a series of threats against my life to kill me and my wife, not only for being gay, but for actually saying what I have to say about Black lives and about people of all rights. Whether it's a shooting that happens at a local synagogue, I write letters and I go and send my support. When Muslims are attacked, I send letters of support to every single Muslim center and mosque in the county, just to say that you have allies that are not necessarily identifying with you. So I feel like I try to show my support to many different communities, especially the ones that feel attacked. And so, but there's definitely some retaliation that can come with that territory. But I've decided to stay true to my causes and to my beliefs. And so I'm still doing my little Black History Matters test. And the reason it matters to me too is because I wasn't taught all those. I'm learning so much every time I do my Black History test, trivia. I never know the answers. I'm learning something all the time, but I'm really impressed with people that know all of these answers, because the only way to learn this stuff is to actually go outside of the American education system and educate yourself. So it's really impressive.
Absolutely. Absolutely, definitely. So everybody, Celeste shared her information in the chat section if you'd like to start watching all of those things and make her a part of your daily experience like me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Celeste. This was amazing. I got to know you a whole lot better, and I'm so happy everybody else got to as well. I'm so honored that you were a part of this and that you were willing to cut out such a large time slot in your virtual professional career as a singer to be here for this interview, for pre-recording those songs for me, and sharing a little bit about what it's like to be a singer as a career and to turn your passion into your actual daily job. I love that.
I highly recommend it. I highly recommend that.
Definitely.
Somebody posted something that I was supposed to see. What was I supposed to see? Was it, what did I miss?
I just made a little sketch while we were watching your videos. So I just
Is it
posted
in the
it.
chat? Where's it at? Like,
Yeah, it's in the chat.
Oh, I'll have to. Oh, that's in the bird. You put the bird. I love it. It's beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
Oh, it's so cute. Oh, and you might. Oh, and then Elena, you were asking me before the show started. Too, and wait, I lost myself. So I am known for wearing different colored wigs all the time. Every day, a different color. So on the cover of Tidal Wave, you saw it was jade. On the cover of Two Worlds, it was black and white. Yesterday it was aqua. Today it's blue. I started wearing wigs when I was 17 years old because I have no hair on the top of my head, and it has just turned into a full-time thing where every single day I have on a different wig. So but people will warn me about the dangers of dyeing my hair too often, and I'm like, oh, thank you, I appreciate it. You don't have to worry about my hair follicles.
In case anyone thought when I showed the videos you recorded yesterday, and they're like, huh, she already dyed her hair darker since then?
I'm curious, Lagos, as how you envision, what color you envisioned my hair, since we were talking about your color.
Oh, well, because it was based on the video, I was just thinking of the turquoise. I think it was like a light blue you were wearing.
Aqua?
Yeah.
That's the ombre, kind of the blue to aqua. Okay, yeah. All right.
I love it. That's so cool.
Thank you. I love it.
That's awesome. See, we get to have people actually making art right in the middle of this thing while somebody else is, performing. I love that.
You'll have to email it to me so that I can have a copy of it.
Yeah, I'll send you a good picture, because right now, like, with this light, it looks so blurry.
That was so fast. That was amazing. Yeah. So fast.
It's very tiny.
Oh, it's a little teeny tiny piece.
Yeah.
Well,
nice. Thank you. That was sweet.
You're welcome. Thank you. Love your music.
Thank you. I love your art. It's all love. It's all love.
I know. I'm so happy all of you are here. I know we're losing people little by little because it's getting late on the East Coast and in Costa Rica, and I'm surprised we have anybody here. It ran way longer than I expected it to, and I knew that my timeline could be complete. It was a complete guess because I hadn't done this before. But we do have one more song left, and it's my boyfriend Adam, who's sitting out there in the balcony. If you see his video. He just dropped his guitar. Hopefully that's not broken. It's all good. So we're gonna finish up with a song by Adam. Thank you so much, Celeste, for all of that, and for being here and for sharing all of that with us. And I hope to see you in one of these again in the future.
Yes, I would love to come back. Thank you so much for having me. It was lovely, delightful. Everyone was so talented and sweet, and you definitely have a large network of very talented people that you've acquired over the years, I see. Where are you now, by the way?
On the coast in Oregon, and I move around too much, and I stick around in a place for no longer than a year or two. So I kind of am trying to make up for that by building up this virtual community of the kind of people that I would usually hang out with.
That's perfect. Awesome. Can't wait to hear your boyfriend's song.
All right. Are you ready, Adam? Oh, can you unmute yourself and I will mute me then? We have this interference problem happening with being in the same house.
Okay. Hi, my name's Adam, and I am pretty rusty with playing. I think I'll just do one, and it's a newer one, so it's kind of, I guess, for all you guys out there. You're all very inspiring. I'll post the lyrics in the chat room if you would like to read along. They're partially because I don't remember them all. So, and I'll just throw my band's website in there. It's pretty old, but it's got all our stuff on there. And I am a web developer, and I made the website myself. So since it's a creative workshop, if you have any feedback on the website, you know, go for that too. All right. When I was young, tiny like a tadpole, strumming strings like Kermit my go. Growing older, others coaching me to cut and run, spit and quit your pipe dreams, music's just for fun. Living in the bubble, thought I had to toe the line. Gotta make those clamps succumb to the daily grind. But I felt empty, couldn't scuttle my ambition. Stopped holding my breath and continued on my mission. And now from this decision, feel electric as an eel. And I'm poised for success on an even keel. Can't contain all the 9 to 5, won't plug my zeal. Springing into action on an even keel. Next set of lyrics. Now this one's for the homies and the elders who have passed. From libation, lower flag to half-mast. Respect for you is vast, that's why I must persist. Right till I expire, create hand over fist. Charting out my future like a time travel spyglass. Next week, my ass, bullshit I bypass. So to the critics, the cynics, the cold-blooded, your opinion's less than a drop in my bucket. Expecting me to sleep like on banana peel, but I'm poised for success on an even keel. One never flop, my determination's real. Getting my fate on an even keel. Strike chords, pick scales, album spinning like a reel. And in new styles on an even keel. The bright shimmering water, warm and colored teal. Me and my fleet drive on an even keel. Something like that. So this is before we moved to Newport, I started this like new project that I wanted to be like a nautical themed album. So this would be like the last song of the album, most likely. You'll notice there's like a lot of sailor and sea terms like mixed into the lyrics. I did that with like a lot of the lyrics on the project. But yeah, it's very much, there's like a lot of songs that are kind of done, like just getting started, some that are like completely done. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam, for trying out a song even though you're feeling rusty. I love how we had a lot of vulnerability here with people who were like, I don't know if I should be doing this, but here goes. Well, this is the very end of our virtual show. We went way over the time that I thought we were going to have, but we just had so many creative people that we tried to cram in. last minute into this event. And I'm really, really excited that I even found this many talented people who are willing to go on this show so last minute. But this is it. That's the very end. I wrote down a list of the people who contributed. Thank you so much for joining and coming to this very first virtual workshop and helping me kick this thing off with a successful turnout. Again, I dreamed of having 20 people for this very first one that I gave 5 days notice, and I had a little bit above 20, and I'm so happy. I would really, really love for all of you to join me again for any of the future ones that whenever you are free.
My virtual creative workshops and variety shows will happen on the 15th and 30th of each month going forward. A few exceptions on holidays, but you'll know about those ahead of time.
There will be a variety of people each time, and some of us will be repeats, some of us will be brand new. If you know anybody creative who would love to be a part of this virtual creative workshop and variety show, first of all, promise them that it's not going to be as glitchy with technological difficulties as the first one if they happen to see this recording.
But yes, please
do pass along my information, which I created a new email address that people can reach out. It's virtualcreativeworkshop@gmail.com. That's all it is. I'll put it in the comments. Pass it along to anybody who might want to be on a future show, and I would be honored to have them. Again, thank you so much to everybody who attended. If you wanted to save any information from the chat room, anybody's Instagrams, anybody's websites, go ahead and do so really quick before you lose contact. I'm going to play a song for just a little bit while I let people take a look at the comments section and read through and take anybody's information if they needed it. But that's it. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. In the next one.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Night, everyone. It was fun.
Good night.
Thanks so much for coming.